Good afternoon and welcome to Islamic Reflections on Lama FM, featuring our very own scholar, Ustaza Maha Hamwi. We are happy to be with you every day during this blessed month of Ramadan, the most beloved month to God, subhanallah wa ta'ala. And we look forward to this time with you as we learn together about Ramadan and its spiritual benefits.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على سيدنا محمد أبد الآبدين وفي كل وقت وحين وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. It seems that sometimes when we are thinking about our Islamic religion and going through Ramadan, fasting and praying and trying to do our best to remain on the right path, to remain on track, one thinks about the whole issue of the religion, especially when talking to the young people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had said that a human being was created anxious. He's in a hurry. We like to get results that are rather quick to our actions. We get encouraged that way. You say we need a positive reinforcement sometime. And if answers or reactions to our specific actions are delayed because of a specific reason, we tend to stop doing this action. We exercise, we would like to lose weight. We go on a diet, we like to lose weight. We exercise also, maybe we like to build some muscles. And if we don't see results fast, we tend to become lazy and stop doing whatever it is that we are doing. That probably is causing us to struggle somewhat or put in this effort that's necessary to accomplish anything. Whenever I teach youth classes, I usually ask the kids, I say, what do you see in Islam? What's in it for you? How do you see the religion being a good choice? Now, of course, they have learned from their parents, and so the quick answer is, well, because it gets us to heaven. And that is, of course, the main and the ultimate goal. But truthfully as well, we like to get something of a reward, of a positive reinforcement faster than, well, the idea of that reward being preceded by death, and nobody likes death. Now Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us something about death, though. He said to Sayyidah Aisha, he said, whosoever likes to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes receiving them. And Sayyidah Aisha said, you're talking about death and nobody likes death. And he said, true. But when a worshipper thinks about what's coming after death, then he rushes towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when the time is, of course, designated by Allah. Now, and that's what he said. Then he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then likes receiving them. Now you see, when you think about that, I usually play certain scenarios with our young people, and I just imagine them going through, let us suppose, school without religion. Some of the young Muslims would answer, well, it'll make life less complicated because then we feel like we're a part of this society, and it just makes it less of a problematic issue for us. That's pretty honest. And that's the way, at that point, when a person is maybe 14 or 15, is seeing things. And then you play the scenario of what makes Islam then so difficult at this point, and then they'll be talking about the restrictions that Islam has on the relationship between males and females. And then as we proceed talking about it further, it makes them better understand and see that it's a matter actually of protecting one's heart and one's feelings, and not having to deal with so much of heartbreaks or heartaches at a young age, where at that time it should be that the feelings are freer to build oneself and to study and to become somewhat of a productive person in the community, in the society. And then we play other scenarios and we talk about that. Truly, I'm noticing that the Ummah these days is in need to choose this religion as their own. To, you don't say to own it, but basically, yeah. Because what's going on is they're not really seeing the totality of what this religion is all about. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, He said, whosoever of male or female does well, they act according to Islam, and they are believers, He said, then we will make them, or will provide for them, a goodly life. He called it hayatan tayyibah. Tayyibah, there is sense of purity to it. There is sense of happiness to it. You can actually translate that word in so many positive words and on so many different positive notes pertaining to our personality. This will work just fine. But when we take a look at that, we say, wait, I see a lot of Muslims who are poor, and I see so many of them that are maybe illiterate or lacking in advancements in some sort of a knowledge, in some sort of a science. And then, we kind of observe the Ummah in general, and then maybe even our own little communities in particular, and we're not seeing this goodly life, maybe positively, the way our eyesight are perceiving from the wherever we're standing. This is our perception area. I think if we want to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, and it is very important to know that the reward Islamically, or even the punishment, are not held back until Judgment Day. We actually are interacting with both rewards and punishments in our life right now, whether on a personal level or on a community level or on an ummah level, a whole Muslim ummah level. So we need to understand better. See, a lot of people say Islam is a way of life. And I like the idea. But to me, I feel like, and you know, I get it from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Udkhulu fi silmi kafa." I love that verse. It tells us, enter into peace. As-silm is actually also another word for Islam. And he's saying kafa in its totality, but also it means with our totality. So my whole being should enter into Islam, all of it. Islam is vast. Yet, what that means when I enter into Islam, that means I'm going to live of Islam. This area which is containing me, which surrounds me, that circle which surrounds me, which surrounds my life, that is the circle I should know. I should know rather well, and I should live it. I see Islam as a home. I see it as if bigger than a home, and I see it then as a country. Now, this country has a language, just like any country. I remember when I first came to America, and I did not speak any English at all. I felt quite handicapped and very secluded from the society. I'm a very outgoing kind of gal, so it made it very difficult for me to exist. And I found myself, when I spoke, I sounded like a 5-year-old. I mean, I was 17 at the time, but still not 5, and still had quite a bit to say that I just could not actually say because I did not speak the language of the society. So I tried to rush my learning so that I can comprehend and I can be heard. Islam is kind of like that. We have to understand that it has its own vocabulary, it has its own language. And it is due to the fact that a lot of Muslims just do not speak that language that we're having a tough time understanding what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to tell us. You see, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said one day, he said, Islam was born a stranger and is going to return to its state of being foreign or stranger to a lot of people. And we see that the Muslims are understanding less and less portions of it. It's not because it's complicated. So let me explain a little further. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has asked the Muslimin one day. He said, can you tell me who is a person who's bankrupt? You know bankruptcy. Muflis in the Arabic language. They said, we know, Ya Rasulullah, he's a person who does not have any money. He said, no. He is the person who comes on Judgment Day and has a lot of good deeds, but yet he comes with quite a bit of dues to others because of the fact that he has harmed one of them, he has abused another, he has talked about somebody behind their back, and he wronged people somehow, some way. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, so this person takes from his good deeds to compensate. The other person takes from his good deeds as well. And the other person takes from his good deeds, whomever he has wronged, until there is nothing left of his good deeds at all. And then if he still has wronged people above that, then, well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will command that some of their bad deeds are taken from them and thrown unto him, and then he is thrown in hellfire. That's the bankrupt, according to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked the Muslimin one day as well. He said, do you know who is Al-Aqim? In the Arabic language, it means the barren person, a woman who cannot bear children, or a man who cannot provide for a woman to bear children. Well, then they said, well, we know he is the person who does not have any kids. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no, he said, he's a person, she's a person who have children, but they have not raised them to be beneficial for the Muslim society, for the Muslim community. So might as well. That's a barren person. He asked, one day there was a person actually walking down one of the alleys of Medina, and they know this person to be to have a mental illness, to have a mental challenge. So in fact, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam noticed him saying, this person is crazy. He said, he's not crazy. He said, he is mentally ill. That must have been the very first time that these people who have mental illness were politically correct, mentioned or called. And he said, I'll tell you who's the crazy person. The crazy person is the one who keeps thinking that they're going to live forever and do not do anything for the hereafter. And therefore then, the wise person was described to be totally the opposite. Not only that, but Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as he saw two people wrestling, they said to Rasulullah, look how strong that champion is. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, strength is not proven by the fact that you can pin your opponent and win a match. Strength is measured, he said, by the fact of how much you can maintain your composure when you are angered by someone. Subhanallah, even the Quran explained to us that people that we call intellectuals, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala connected the faculty of thinking totally to the idea that knowledge that we obtain should not be serving this world only. It should be a knowledge that will benefit humanity, where that benefit of humanity will have a return unto us of good deeds that we will carry on with us to Judgment Day. And so even if there's a scientist who has discovered a cure for disease, and if that scientist is a Muslim and he or she are trying to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by taking care of humanity, then that counts for them as being truly scientists that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling them that, and also the intellectuals. Intellectuals that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in fact mentioned. He says, in the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the sky, in the world that surrounds us, the sun and the moon and everything, he said, in all of that are signs for people with intellect. And so people with intellect are the ones that are supposed to take a look at the world and say, there must be a creator. A very simple Bedouin in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had come to Medina trying to declare his Islam. And when they told him, they said, did you hear about anything about this religion? He said, no, I just heard that there is a messenger who's teaching how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They said, well, do you believe in Allah, in God? And he said, I've always believed in a creator. And they said, well, how did you conclude? He said, well, if footsteps lead you to believe that there had been a person who had walked there before, he said. And in fact, he said, feces of animals, in fact, will let you know that there has been an animal that has been here before. And he said, then I take a look at a sky that covers us like a top of a tent, and an earth that we're walking upon, and whatever is in between them that's created for us. And that does not lead us to the fact that there is a creator. He found that very, very difficult to grasp. Like, how could anyone not understand this situation? Subhanallah, even the idea of success is measured by the fact that when we receive our books, the ones that are being written for us now on Judgment Day, and we look at them happily, then the successful person is the one that raises that book in his right hand, of course, saying, hey, look, read my book. It's full of good marks. It's full of good deeds. I have always believed that I was going to receive this book. I've always known that I was going to get my results one day. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us of who the true winners are. He says, whosoever is budged from hell and entered or allowed to enter into paradise, then these are the winners. أولئك هم الفائزون. And obviously, the opposite are the losers. All of which are words that we use in our vocabulary as the society goes, but all of which are actually utilized to express, to explain Islam from a different angle, from a different perspective. Time has passed a little quickly for me for this session, And I'm hoping to continue on trying to explain actually what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in this verse. Whosoever does good deeds of males or females, they will certainly live a goodly life in this world, and then they will receive their reward in the hereafter. Jazakumullahu khair. And inshallah we'll continue in our next session. Assalamu alaikum. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.
We would like to thank our listeners for joining our program today. A special thank you goes out to Lama FM for hosting us and for giving us the chance to share Ustaza Maha Hamoui's thoughts. We look forward to talking to you on our next episode of Islamic Reflections.